Congressman Polis, if you don't mind, what's your reaction to the president's announcement?
Well, it's welcome news, frankly. I mean, the president, like so many American families, has come to the recognition that gay and lesbian Americans ought to be able to have committed relationships and have public recognition of those committed relationships and of the same rights and responsibilities in marriage as other Americans. So it's great news for the institution of marriage, and it's great news for American families.
He's called it an evolution. Do you think that's an accurate way to put it? Or maybe a better question is it a political evolution, looking at poll numbers and looking maybe at younger voters who support gay marriage overwhelmingly, or is it a personal evolution, as he seemed to tell Robin Roberts?
No, this is a very personal question, and people, particularly of President Obama's generation and the generation ahead of him, really wrestle with this question internally. Most Americans want to be fair, treat people fairly. They also grew up, and many people grew up in faith traditions which don't allow sanctioned gay marriage within that tradition. So it's just a question of to what extent do we let different faiths decide who gets married, and of course each faith has the prerogative to do that. But from the government perspective, all those marriages need to be counted equally under federal law, and I'm thrilled the president came to that same conclusion.
When you look at the poll numbers, you might say there is a slight advantage for those who support same-sex marriage, but when you actually look at states where they have put in a ban or a definition of marriages between a man and a woman, that's an overwhelming number of states. 30 states, between 30 and 32 states, I believe, are defining it that way. So I guess I would ask you to explain what seems to be a contradiction in those numbers.
Sure. Well, those of us who are in favor of legal acceptance of gays and lesbians marrying have to explain that that doesn't mean that your religion is going to sanctify gay marriages. So most people, when asked, do you support gay marriage, they say, no, as a Catholic, no, we don't have that in the Catholic faith. As an Orthodox Jew, no, we don't have that. But at the same time, more and more people are willing to accept that before the law they should be treated equally. And just as, for instance, Catholics can't divorce within the faith and remarry within the faith, nor will they be able to get married to a person of the same sex within the faith, other Americans will. And I think everybody ought to be able to marry who they love, and I hope that's common sense to most Americans, and I'm glad the president agrees.
The president left a little bit of an out as he was in his interview with Robin Roberts, right? He said this is a personal decision, that in fact he believes it should be left up to the states, those 30-plus states that I was just talking about. Isn't that a contradiction also in and of itself? I mean, either something is fair and moral, or something is not. Why should states get to decide?
Well, states are where the definition of marriage resides. In fact, the only federal definition of marriage is eliminating one. It's the Defense of Marriage Act, which actually prevents states that allow gays and lesbians to get married to be counted for federal purposes. President Obama always, since he was inaugurated, supported the repeal of the Defense of Marriage Act. But no one's talking about the federal government defining marriage. It's certainly up to each state how